Hey everyone, this is Kristen V. Carter with Trust Your Magic podcast, where I'm talking to friends, family, colleagues, and more who have trusted their magic and inspired me to trust mine. Now, it's always so interesting. I feel like your tribe is the one that gets you through. And this woman, this young lady is my first friend in LA, and I love her so very much. She's doing big things as a post-production executive. I know her from her days assistant editing, so we're going to get into all of that. Welcome, Victoria C. Page.
Ooh,
hey. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good.
How are you?
I'm good.
Awesome.
Good. Now, I said Page, but we know that's about to get slashed in a second.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So I'm gonna become Mrs. Jordan, because Mrs. Marcus Jordan. I'm excited.
Oh, I'm so excited for you.
I know, dropping the page. Yeah.
So we will get into that. So first, let me know. So I moved here January 2011, and you moved in 2010.
Yes.
So tell me what sparked that move.
Straight out of college.
Okay.
I graduated May of 2010, but I knew my junior year of college that I wanted to be in post-production. And my mother was like, so are we going to grad school? And I'm like, well, let me do some research. She didn't really understand what editing was. So when I was doing research of grad schools, of film schools, it was very focused on directing, producing, screenwriting. And so I started to look at schools that were more honed into editing. So I found this trade school called Video Symphony. I remember I presented it to my mom. What do you think of this? And we literally came to LA January of 2010 to visit. And we just really fell in love with the school, what they were all about. Because their tagline was "Where the professionals go." Okay. So we made a decision in January and made the plan to come out here after I graduated. So graduated May of 2010, went back to New Orleans, spent time with family, and then came out here in July.
Yeah. So I don't hear often people saying that they want to become an editor. So what made you decide, or when was the first show that you said, you know what, I'm like really interested in editing? It
was really in my major. Back then, my major was called electronic media. At Xavier University of Cincinnati.
Hey.
But now it's called Digital Innovation of Television and Film. Very fancy. But during that time when we had assignments to write short films, film it, cut it, it was during that time where I really did fall in love with editing.
Okay.
I like that I can manipulate the images to tell whatever story that needed to be told. I like that, in a sense, we're able to control evoke feelings through film. And I really enjoyed that process.
So even beyond that, so like rewinding to when you were a kid or high school, were you one of those kids that watched TV all the time? Were you always
Definitely. I would say I wasn't always into editing per se, but definitely watching TV. I was more like a theater geek, to be honest, back then.
Did you do theater?
I did.
Okay. What did you do?
I did. Back then, I was really into the musicals in high school. I went to an all-girl high school, so we did like one-act plays, competition with other high schools as well. But I knew going into college that I wanted to be in communications. Totally did not know what field in communications I wanted to be in.
So were you on stage like those folks at Sister Act 2, my favorite?
Oh, yeah. I remember we did a production in Aida. I was the understudy. Ooh, almost got the part. That was college. Almost got the part, but I really did enjoy myself. I love to sing, and I remember when I was little, I'm like, I want to be a singer, and like all my family was like, really? Yeah. Didn't quite take me seriously.
Now, the funny thing, when I was in high school, I also was in a theater as well. So I was choreographing all of our theater productions.
So you dancer?
Yeah. So at the time, we didn't have a very big dance program. And I was trying to figure out like how I was going to explore my artistic passion, because my school did not specialize in arts. And in dance, in dance and arts. But then I started choreographing, and then I was able to basically present a curriculum to the school and then create like dance as a sport, because we had to do sports. I hated sports. I played soccer.
Yeah.
I did crew. I did squash.
Crew?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yes.
Okay.
I actually quit halfway through.
Yeah.
What was it, my junior year? Because my shoulders were so big.
Yeah.
That I was like bigger than the guys I liked. And I was like, okay, yeah, I can't do that. I need to.
You like the muscle definition that's forming up here. I get it.
So I was like, nope, no more crew. But I did make the decision I wanted to move forward and dance. And thankfully I was able to do that. So we have that in common.
Look at you making an initiative curriculum. Like, we need this as a sport. I love it.
Yes, it's awesome. It's awesome. So you said electronic media. That's what you studied?
That was the major name back then. I feel like it was still trying to find its way.
Why did it make, I was like, why they have that so antiquated?
I don't know. Well, I feel like Xavier at the time was very business school.
Okay.
Because they're known for their business school. I feel like as far as liberal arts were concerned, they were still developing the programs back then.
Got it.
Which I must say, it's been like 13 years since I've been out of college. It definitely has grown and developed and definitely have way more students in their program now. Okay. So definitely more still in touch with the professors over there.
Nice. All right. So fast forward, you got here, you were in Video Symphony, or that's how you say it?
Video Symphony. I think they call themselves Video Symphony Post-Production Institute.
Got it. Okay. I just want to make sure I got that name straight.
You good.
All right. And then from there, you went where? You started AEing?
I did. What was it? So Video Symphony was located downtown Burbank. It's an 11-month program. I had some internships, one at like a trailer house. One was at like a Christian company that did a lot of like religious films. And I was talking to one of the admissions counselors at Video Symphony, just telling her my goals and all this stuff. And she encouraged me to attend like a talk with the former VP of Post of Magical Elves. And he was coming to talk to alumni and students. And I remember after he was done with the talk and everyone was like networking and things like that, I remember her name is Barbara. She told me, she's like, go talk to him. And I stopped him at the door when he was leaving. And I said, my name is Victoria Page. I just graduated. I hear you like Video Symphony students. And he's like, sure, yeah. Send me your resume. So I sent my resume and he passed it along to the current VP of Post at Magical Elves, because at that time he was a consultant. And received an email from them saying they were looking for some assistant editors for nighttime shift. And I got hired at Magical Elves in 2011.
Okay. And fast forward, and you've done feature films, independent short films.
Yes.
You've done it all. So can you list out a few things? Because I want to ask some personal questions. But, I want everybody to know your credits run deep.
They do. Okay. Started out in TV, mainly dramas. Did a lot for CBS, NBC, Fox shows, CSI spinoff. I did Gina Prince Bythewood's first television show, Shots Fired. I worked with John Ridley for an independent film called Needle Time in a Haystack, something like that. It's funny, blurry, but it was like back in 2018 with Leslie Odom. I mean, I worked on a lot of mid-season shows that didn't make the cut after season 1. I worked on Under the Dome for CBS. That was the summer show. Worked for Wrinkle in Time. That was my first feature. And then the John Ridley feature was my second feature. And and I worked on Hightown for Stars. Okay. And that's when I got the bump up.
Nice. So you've done all of that. You have so many amazing credits, but then you decided to make the move to being an executive. So what actually inspired that move?
Being honest, low-key stress.
Okay.
My goal was to become an editor. That's why I came to LA. I assisted in reality, assisted in scripted, assisted in features. During the pandemic, something set a fire under me. I want to be an editor. Talked to my showrunner. She considered me. I was hired. And bam, I made it to what we call the chair, right? I made it to the chair. I enjoyed the process of cutting 3 whole hour-long commercial-free cable episodes. And I really did think of, is this what I want to sustain? Because I was working long hours. I was really just working a lot, where I felt like I didn't have personal time to myself. And I mean, I feel like this is nothing new. I'm not the first person to feel this. And I think this is definitely a pattern between editors and assistant editors, that you're in the trenches together, right? So I decided to go into post management mainly to become more of an advocate for editorial. So when we receive notes from the studio, I feel like editorial, like, oh, they don't know what they're talking about, right? Or, when the studio wants you to like cut a whole scene and then another reshoot and then mix some stuff around when it's already turned over and locked, it creates a domino effect that takes even more time.
No.
Right, right. So I felt for me, I would be a good asset to any team that's going into the studio realm of knowing editorial, knowing what editorial goes through, and have that be at that table to speak up if something looks wrong in a schedule.
Yeah.
Or when one of my senior executives come to me, Victoria, what do you think about this? And I can give my opinion. I'm like, instead of what you're, proposing, why don't we do this? It'll still save you the time. It'll still save you the money, because it really does all come down to budget. So yeah, that's what really made me seek more into post management on the studio side. Let me be an advocate for editorial, because I know what I'm talking about, right? To just be that help for editorial. Yeah. I feel like when I work with editorial teams for features, when they know I was an editor, when they knew I was an assistant, they're like, oh, she knows what I'm talking about. So I feel like that makes them more comfortable just to contact me directly if they need anything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when I think about your journey, you went from assistant editor to editor, and then made the decision to make that leap into being an executive. I have always said you're one of the most hardworking, diligent, efficient. If you want somebody amazing, you better call Victoria, because she's always on time. Yeah. Always got it together. You know what I think I'm on time, but like you make me feel late all the time.
You gotta be punctual. Yeah.
I'll be like, oh wait, it's Victoria. I gotta be 10 minutes.
That's
and I'll be like,
hilarious.
I'm still family.
I tried. Yes.
So where does that come from? Where does your diligence come from? You've always been really focused. Like I would consider myself a really focused person too, but every time I talk to you, whether it's personal or professional, you always have like a rundown of what you want. So where does that come from?
I'm not going, my mom. Yep. My mom is very business. My mom is very, where we making this money at? So obviously we all overcome fear in order to get to where we want to go. And I felt like in college, when she first asked me, where are we doing grad school? All right, that's like, okay, Victoria, you got to make a plan for yourself, right? And I'm like, I want to become an editor. How can I become an editor? Let me do my research. Let me, discuss these things with her. And then once I'm here, I'm working in reality. I'm working the night shift. I want to go to the day shift. How can I do that? Let me try to network with folks. But when I would receive like negative feedback or, man, I didn't get that job that I wanted, I would go to my mother and consult with her. I'm like, Mom, this has happened, but I want to go here and this is what I'm doing. And she would reassure me. But, and she would know more about the business the more I would talk to her about it. So it's not like she was very blind to what I was, doing and how this industry works. I give her credit. She really does do her research on her own as well. But she really did instill in me that drive. Definitely. She's like, Victoria, where do you want to go from here? And back then I saw myself as an ace editor. I'm like, I want those 3 letters behind my name. How can I get there? And I would I'm a big fan of writing things down. Yeah. Writing a to-do list, checking the boxes off. And once I have those list of goals, that's how I proceed. Like, you have the bigger goals. Okay. How can I get to that big goal? Okay. Here are some small goals. I need to reach out to this person. Or I need to, find this person to network with, or I need to go to this event. Like, Film Independent. I want to edit some independent shorts. Let me join in Film Independent. Let me, meet some people in the independent space. So yeah, I owe my mom a lot, obviously. But yeah, she definitely would keep me grounded and in that space of, she would call me Pumpkin. She's like, Pumpkin, list out what you want to do and all that stuff. And I would, but when I would, gripe about things, she would be that listening ear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
So, well, shout out to you for being the AE on my short film, First Date, many moons ago.
Yeah.
But no, it's just been amazing to watch you grow and shine and all of that. So in terms of stress, because I think that's an important piece.
Yeah.
When did your priorities start to shift? So you, like I said, you kind of checked off the boxes, like you said, in terms of hitting the goals you wanted, but then you weren't feeling the way that you wanted to feel.
Yeah.
So when did you start to really pay attention to that?
2017, 16, 17, 18, obviously. I started to think about personal goals. I feel like I'm very career oriented, which is not a bad thing. I mean, look where we are, right? I feel like I'm very career oriented, but I started to think more about personal goals and what I wanted.
Yeah.
And started to think about family, started thinking about hobbies, started to, think about dating, and realized, dang, I have no time for that.
But I feel like you always dated. If there's one thing Victoria C. Page gonna do, she gonna keep these guys in check and in line.
Obviously I did date. And every one of them had an understanding of, oh, I know my girl, she's career oriented. She's going to do what she need to do, which I did. And I give it to them for understanding that, yes, I am going to work long hours. Yes, I am more free on the weekends. Yes, you're not going to see me on a weeknight, but they worked with me though. They did.
Pause. Like, I feel like you were always balanced and loving.
I appreciate you.
Yeah. I never saw it like, oh, I got to be at work, until 10 PM. I felt like, I always saw you really excited about balancing both. So was that not the case?
I was excited about what I thought was balance.
Okay.
Yeah. When I was on that feature, working whole, like close to a whole day, 9 a.m. to 5 a.m. The next day, I was just beginning to date a guy and he would come to the lot at 10 p.m. I just want to see you. Aww. Just gonna hug. Here's a little snack. And I really did appreciate him for that. But I felt like early on when we were dating, we had an understanding of this is my goals. I want to reach this. And he had goals as well. And we worked it out.
What were some of the things that you started venturing into once you started to make some time for yourself?
Started venturing into, obviously ASL. I started venturing into active hobbies because, we, as editors, we sit at our desk a lot and I wasn't as active. And I'm like, I need to be active. So I started to you got me into that trail biking at Lake Balboa.
Do you go?
I don't go now.
Okay.
But when I first tried to find that active hobby, I started to let me go to the trail by myself and see how it's like.
Okay.
And then I started swimming, but I really found pole. Obviously you already know, I dove into pole dancing and it sucked me in because it's so much more than what I feel people know on the surface level. It's definitely a sport, but I start to feel more confident. I feel more stronger. And I just love the community. It's so accepting. Accepting.
I was shocked when you told me you started doing pole classes.
My grandmother was shocked. My mom was shocked. What? Yeah. Yeah.
So you mentioned a few things, but what does pole give you now?
Pole gives me definitely the confidence. Pole gives me a fun space just to let loose. I feel like the community is very accepting, no matter what shape, no matter what size, no matter what age. There are 50, 70-year-old women that are bad women on the pole. And I just love being surrounded by that community because we do expose our bodies in order to stick to the pole.
Yeah.
Right. But, I just feel like it's such a safe space just to train in, improve on whatever tricks you want to improve on. But if you're not to that advanced level that you want to be, it's still accepting of accepting where you are now. Because they it's the journey, definitely a pole journey.
But how did you even get introduced? Because it was all of a sudden, I'm taking pole classes. Where did this?
How did that come about? Like I said, I was trying to find something active. I did the biking, I did the swimming, I did the hiking, and then I was just searching for class, and I just happened upon a dance class that just happened to be a pole class. Like I used to dance when I was younger.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, let me do a dance class. And then it was a pole class. I'm like, let me try that out. And the studio I went to at the time was located in Northridge, and she had no mirrors. It was just like 3 poles, and the way she introduced us to it, it was just fun. And then to work with the more advanced ladies, it was just, I felt like I was sucked the first class that I ended up booking 5 more classes.
Yeah.
And then I was just there the next day.
Yeah, no, it was awesome to see you. You guys did a Halloween. Is that was it?
It's a pole show, but it was a Halloween theme.
Yeah. So I really, really appreciated that. And it was such a safe space. Everybody was so excited.
Just cheering each other on. Yes. Yes.
I was like, okay.
Yes. It's funny because like I introduced one of my friends to pole dancing. Like we were swimming. She invited me to go swimming. And she's like, oh, what's going on in your life? And like as we're just, breaststroking, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm doing pole classes. She's like, wait a minute, you doing what? And and so I invited her the next day to come to pole class, and she was a former ballerina. And so she's sucked into it. Like she did her first competition and everything.
Yeah.
So,
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, obviously, this is the Trust Your Magic podcast.
Yes.
So I'm so curious to know, you've gone through so many things, as we all have, but what would you consider have been your leaps of faith thus far in your life?
My leaps of faith, I feel like career-wise, my leaps of faith would be any type of genre I was trying to go into. So reality to scripted, definitely a leap of faith, trying to be in touch with those certain people that can open that door for me. I feel like the biggest leap of faith was me transitioning from assistant editor to editor, because it took that leap for me to just say to my exec producer, please consider me, when she was not even thinking of me. So it took me to speak up and say, hey, if there are any openings, basically, if an editor chooses not to come back, can I be considered? Did I know that she would really consider me? No.
Because a lot of times that's not the case.
No, not at all. My resume at the time, I'd never edited a full episode of TV, not for network or cable. I had a bunch of short films. For network, I edited recaps. Yeah, I cut music, but never in her life has she seen me cut a TV show. And so I felt she trusted me enough to give me 3 whole episodes to cut for a cable show. So I felt like that leap of faith for me to speak up for myself and say, hey, please consider me. That was a huge thing for me.
Okay. Awesome. And then what would you say personally?
See, I can only relate to relationships here.
That's fine. Go on ahead.
Personally is the leap of faith of being able to move on from men that I knew wasn't good for me. And just to move on more quickly than I have before.
Yeah. And what do you mean by that specifically?
When you see red flags or yellow flags, seeing those flags, not ignoring them and saying hey, this isn't going to work, and moving on instead of staying there oh, we can work this out. Yeah. I felt like a lesson for me to learn.
Yeah. No, I really commend you for that, because I'm thinking about in the middle of the pandemic, you coming over, because she knits, y'all. So you came over with a blanket. Yeah. And we were talking about just different things I was going through. And you're like, do you share what it is that you want right at the top? Which I feel like I'm hesitant to sometimes. So I appreciate just how you model dating and now engagement.
Yes. I felt it really helped me. It's really helped me going into my relationship with Marcus. Definitely. Okay. It's funny. Sorry. I know we're on a public forum, but it's funny. because I remember Marcus and I have been knowing each other since 2020.
Mm-hmm.
We started dating each other in 2021. But like on our first date, I knew he had a crush on me, but he didn't want to say it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was the one like, Marcus, are you interested in me? And he gave me like, oh, you know what this is. You know what this was. And then we proceeded on with the conversation from there. But that was just me being upfront with him.
Yeah, yeah. So when you got started with your relationship with Marcus, what was different for you? I think moving it, you already mentioned being able to move on from other things, but where were you in your heart space in order to, be open to love?
Where was I in my heart space? I was very open, but I felt my discernment. I had to work on my discernment of men. That really helped me going into a relationship with Marcus in full open arms. I've learned to speak my mind, obviously earlier on, tell him what I'm thinking at the point where I'm thinking it instead of just holding it and seeing where this goes. And then like, you know what? I thought about that. So going into a relationship with Marcus, that having those basically that mindset in my mind of going into it open, tell you what I think, let's just have fun, see where this goes. And it really helped. It really helped. I mean, he knows I'm very upfront. I could be a little blunt.
Yeah. So you mentioned, moving on from red flags. What do you see as green flags that have really, gotten you to this point?
I mean, I feel like, we're very successful, and I feel like we're stable. We're stable. I was looking for stability. I'm like, I take care of myself, food, clothes on my back, a roof over my head. But I felt that I needed a person like that. I felt my past relationships wasn't like that, where I felt more stable than the other. I'm like, I need me be stable and you be stable, and then we can go from there. Okay. Is that too personal?
No, because I'm like, well, do you feel,
is that too personal?
Do you feel leap of faith is jumping the broom? Like, I feel like I've known you so long. There's only a few of our friends that have gotten married thus far.
That's true.
Shout out to Jamila and Jashika. I'm trying to think of a few others. I think a lot of us are out here, have come out here for a career.
Yeah.
And then still trying to figure things out on the personal side. But for you, would you say like it's a leap of faith? Or are you just kind of like chilling? Like, oh, I just know.
Oh, I knew. I just knew. Isn't it something? Yeah, I just knew. I can't really pinpoint it. I just knew. I think we both knew. We were 2 months in. We know.
Okay.
We weren't engaged 2 months in, but we knew 2 months in. Definitely.
Yeah. Definitely. Okay. And what was different? I guess you just knew.
Oh, I mean,
hopefully I'll be able to call you and be like, I just know, Victoria.
I mean, we were comfortable with each other, the way we talk with each other, very open, very honest. We trust each other. Yeah, it was the chemistry. Yeah, I mean, sorry, I'm about to gush a little bit. Like, I personally want to feel safe. He makes me feel safe. I'm able to laugh with him. I'm able to just be my full self, whether in front of people, behind closed doors, whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
I just knew.
I am so happy for you. So one last question for you on this note.
Okay.
So, what does it mean to you to take on a last name and to embark on this journey as a wife and also just a family woman in general?
What does it mean for me? I mean, I feel like I'm in the middle of it. The meaning, I mean, definitely looking forward to building more legacy as a team, as one, moving forward and deciding whatever life we want to build together as one. I think that was my key when we both were discussing about marriage. I'm like, I want to move through this life together as one team. Whatever our family says, whatever, it's us that we're going to do whatever, whether, we're building the house, whether we're having children, whether we're just going traveling, whether we're choosing different careers, like any decision that we make, as long as we're, having fun, happy, and really confident in our decisions moving forward, then that's what I want.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the meaning, but yeah. That's what I want. I feel like I'm in the middle of life, a lot of change right now.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to take on his last name. But definitely enjoying the season of being engaged. I think a lot of people have been telling me, like, enjoy the season. And I in my mind, I'm like, oh, we're playing the wedding. That's all. But this season where Marcus and I are working more as a team than ever to decide on how we want our life to be has been exciting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I am excited to be there.
Yes.
In September.
Yay! I'm excited too.
Yes. So is there anything else that you want to tell the people? We've kind of gone through, your leap to LA, personal, a little professional. Is there anything else you want to mention that we haven't?
I feel like when you say trust your magic, I feel like you have to lean into the feeling that you're going to feel fear, that you're going to be afraid, that you're going to be scared. And I feel like everyone goes through emotions dealing with that fear, whether it's going to a position that you want to go to or, dating that man you want to date or what have you. That is fine. It's fine. It's natural to go through fear. And definitely lean into your tribe, lean into your family for that encouragement to continue to go through and trust yourself to move forward.
Yeah. Well, like I said, you've always been the same, Victoria. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm so proud of you. I always tell everybody, you always remember your first friend in LA. And, I know that when people come up to me, I always say the two people that I can think of that I'm their first friend, and they always say it. I'm like, no, I understand why you have that sort of place in my heart, or vice versa, because I have the same for you. I always say, Victoria's my first friend. Yeah. And here we are.
I say, here we are. Yeah.
So can you let everybody know where they can find you online?
Where you can find me online. I'm on LinkedIn, Victoria C. Page. My Instagram is more personal.
Okay.
Because I really don't accept people that I don't know.
That's okay. Victoria, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
And thank y'all for tuning in to Trust Your Magic. If you like what you heard or what you watched, please feel free to subscribe, and we will see you next time.